If I had my way, the most celebrated citizen athlete achievement would be to run a mile as fast as you can. Like
Yep.
that, but meaning is culturally constructed and we don't necessarily get to create our own meaning. We can try by writing books like the book you've
Mm.
written, we can try to create meaning and to move the dialogue in a given direction. But yeah, look, I ran one marathon in my life. I ran it, it's now 12
Sorry
years
to hear
ago.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. It was miserable.
it is a disgrace for a national level 1500-meter athlete to run a marathon. I mean, it's like putting a thoroughbred into the Tevis Cup 100-mile endurance ride that they do on the Western States Trail. It's like, no, you
And
can't put Secretariat out there. He'll hurt his little precious hoof.
And believe me, my precious hoofs were in agony by the time I got to the finish line. It was
Yeah.
awful. But I did it. And you know what? Like, I'm glad I did it because now
Yeah.
I know what
Bucket
it's like.
list. Yeah.
But these days, the cross country I run goes up to about 8K. The road races I
Yeah.
usually run, I'll run a
Yeah.
couple 5Ks a year. Occasionally, I'll run an 8K depending on if the timing works. That's what I find interesting. Now, that's a reflection in part of my personal physiology and what I happen to be good at. And so I have friends who are much better at longer distances, and I recognize that they have more fun pushing those buttons. But I will join you in saying, let's break the cultural hegemony of the marathon and say, running a 400 meters, that's a pretty damn good challenge. High jumping, running the mile, running a 5K. There are lots of ways that are as noble, as challenging, as healthy, and as hard if you choose to, a mile is as hard. I moaned for a few minutes about how hard a marathon was. I've packed the same amount of suffering into 4 minutes while trying to run, a
For
mile.
anyone unfamiliar with the event, it's basically a marathon of suffering in around 4 minutes. I love
At
it.
least you get it
And
over with quickly.
yeah, and the longevity research especially is pointing toward attributes like your strength and your strength training regimen. And the Cooper Institute in UT Southwestern did that study with 66,000 people, defining the mile run time at age 50 as a huge predictor of one's ability to live to age 85 in good health, and a deficient mile run time being a huge red flag risk factor, just like deficient VO2 max that we're hearing about now, being, an all-encompassing metric to show that you're in rough shape, buddy, and you got to get your butt in gear, whether it's going for 400 mile or longer.